Hey everyone, I'm going to do a build guide for the VORON belted extruder. I'll show you what you need to get started. You'll need your extruder motor. You'll need a hardware kit. I got mine from MZBot. You'll need 6 printed parts: the main body, the gear, the lever, 2 idler arms, and then the idler body. One of the very important things you'll need to do is prepare your parts. 2 things you'll need to do. First is degrease these 2 parts. So your main bolt for the drive gear and the actual Mark 8 drive gear itself. You need to clean these with some rubbing alcohol and get off the grease. You'll see it's much cleaner now than it was when it arrived. This is really important to prevent the hob gear from sliding on the bolt. Second thing you'll need to do is remove some material from the main body printed part. So you'll have to clean out these 3 bolt holes. Use a drill bit and just poke some holes in there and clean that out. And you'll also need to remove this little piece right here. It's kind of hiding, but you'll see there's a little gap that you can put a little screwdriver in there and pop that off. That's really important as well. I've got my drill bit and my screwdriver of choice, so we'll clean these parts up. So now that everything is nice and cleaned up, what you're going to do is take one of these bearings that comes with the hardware kit and take the smooth side of the main body and you're going to press it in. It's already pressed in, as you can see. Basically what you do is you just line it up nice and level, push it in gently, and then I actually use the table surface to press it all the way in flush. So now you're going to take the bolt that you've cleaned off, and you're going to take a bearing, slide the bearing on the bolt all the way back. Then you're going to take this Mark 8 drive gear and slide this on with the teeth away from the bearing. It's very important. So now you take this, take your body, main body, and slide it through. Once that's on, take 2 of these large washers, put them on to the back side where the bolt just came from. And now you're ready to install the large drive gear. You should look at the part and see you'll have one side that is smooth and flush and another side with a hole in it. I've already filled the hole with a with a nut right here, the hex feature nut. So you just go ahead and press a nut in there, and then when you take this and put it on the main body, you want this nut to face out. So nut here, facing out. Put this on. You may have to thread this bolt through a little bit. I just held the gear and twisted the bolt. And there you go. You can see the drive gear is still loose, that's okay. But this gear is now locked in place. So we'll take our second nut, we'll put that on, just make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and finger tight is okay for now. So next up, take a little break from the main body, get the lever with the MZBot logo on it, and put that facing away from you. Then you're going to get both of these idler arms. What you're going to do is look at the arm and see where the curve is. You want to put that curve facing the MZBot direction. So if the logo is pointing this way, you want to make sure the curve is pointing this way. And what you need to do also is make sure that you have the hole with the hex feature for the nut on the outside. So that's how we want to arrange it. Now I'm going to take a bolt and put it all together. So now I've got that on there. I need to take this part with the hole for the nut and put a nut right in there, like so. Just press that in. And then we'll take that over here and put it all together. So I'll just use my fingers right now. We'll tighten this up later when I install it. So once you're ready to install these idler arms on the main body, Go ahead and tighten down this arm, this bolt, sorry, until the lever has light friction when you move it back and forth. Then you're going to take the main body. You want to be looking at this drive gear. Take this so the MZBot logo is facing away and slide it on. And this is why it's really important to clean out this hole ahead of time, or else it would be very tough to get this put together. This is probably the trickiest bit of the whole build, and it's really not very tricky. It just takes some patience to get it lined up, something I don't really have a lot of, honestly. Alright, well, we're almost there. So that bolt's in there, you see that. Now, hopefully, if they're aligned, you can thread the bolt into the other arm, which has that nut you put in, and there it goes. Alright, so now that that is on there, that's a little too tight. You don't want it to be super tight. You want this to be able to flip back and forth. This will be your latching mechanism. That's perfect. So next thing we want to do is we're going to line up the drive gear with the hole for the filament. So rotate until you see the set screw in view. And then what you're going to do is adjust the Mark 8 gear until you have a perfect line between these two filament holes and the channel for the filament itself. This is really important for making sure your filament is properly guided through the extruder. So now we can set that aside for now. We're actually going to take these two bolts, the ones that have a smooth portion and then a threaded portion, and you're going to put them together. What you're basically going to do, let me show you from scratch. You'll need to find 4 washers. 2 of them are different than 2 of the others. So you can see the differences here. 2 are much thicker than the other ones. So you're going to take the thin ones, put the thinner one on the bolt first, like so. Take the spring, and then take a fatter one and put that on top. So repeat that for the second one. Thin washer, spring, fat washer. Now that you've got that, you can take the printed part. This is the idler body. You can push your bolts through. There might be some plastic here you need to do a little bit of cleanup on. Just do it with the bolt itself. Nothing really serious. And yeah, it's normal for the bolt to have a bit of an angle to it like that. That's perfectly fine. So now we need to finish putting together the idler body. Take this little plastic piece along with the last bearing. Put the piece through the bearing. It's like a little mini shaft. And then you're going to press that in to the idler body. And it is a bit of a press fit, so you are going to use some force. Again, the table is your friend. There you go. So in there. Now we're going to mount that to the main body. So we need to slide these bolts through here. But before we can do that, we're going to have to put some nuts in those those holes, the retaining holes on the back side. So I always like to wait to do this until I'm ready to put the bolt in, because those nuts just have a tendency to kind of run away from me and get lost. So back the bolts out so they're not really pushing too much. You don't want them to displace these nuts at all. In fact, I'm going to take this thing out. I have this upside down, and I'm going to take these little nuts. Oops, sorry, it's hard to see there. Little nut. And you're going to put that right down in the extruder body. slides right down. Make sure they're fully seated with an Allen key. Make sure they're tapped down there. Then I'm actually going to try and do this while it's like this. Keep everything from falling out. And now, gently tighten these bolts down. So now these are secured and tight. We can test the extruder, pushing down on the idler body and flipping over our latch. Seeing how nice and smooth that is, we know we're working good. One of the last steps we need to do is put our gear on our stepper motor. You'll notice this gear has 2 set screws. Place one of the set screws along this flat portion of the stepper motor shaft. So make sure that set screw is engaged on the flat portion, and then tighten it down. Then once you've tightened down your first set screw on the flat portion, go ahead and tighten down your second one wherever it happens to be. Now once those set screws are tight, you know your gear won't slip. You're ready to mount your main body to your motor. The way you're going to want to do this is make sure the wires for the stepper motor are facing away from the flat portion on the motor itself. So you got your wires here, you got this flat portion going like this. Now what you're going to do is take these 3 small bolts with a washer, and you're just going to screw it on to your motor. So now that this is secured, it's still loose, you can see it's moving. Last thing we need to do is take the belt and stretch this around the gear. You want to leave these loose to make it easier to get the belt on. Now what you're going to do is you're going to pull in the body back, just tension the belt. And once you've tensioned it, you'll tighten down the bolts connecting to the body and lock that in nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and you're done.